The landline rings while the shower hisses upstairs. I dry my hands on the apron and lift the receiver. Hello? Mom. Ivan's voice, bright, young, with the wind of airports still inside it. Just checking in. I've got a few minutes before pushback. I smile. The kitchen smells like dish soap and last night's coffee. How's my pilot? Good. Tired? Paris rotation. He laughs, then stalls, as if a cloud moves across the cockpit. Hey, something weird. A bead of water crawls down the cabinet face. Overhead, the shower is still going. What? He lowers his voice until it's almost a whisper under jet noise. Is Araceli at the house? I glance toward the staircase. Steam curls over the banister like milk in tea. 10 minutes earlier, she leaned down from the landing, white blouse, damp lashes. Mom, I'm taking a quick shower. Of course, I say. She's upstairs. Silence. Weighty. That's impossible. Excuse me? I'm holding her passport. Paper shuffles. And I just watched her board. First class to France. The kitchen tilts. I press my palm to the counter. No, you saw wrong, sweetheart. Mom. He's steady now, the way he gets in turbulence. I found her passport at the gate. I went down the aisle to check. She's on the plane, sitting with some rich-looking guy. Close, like a couple. Water shuts off upstairs. The house inhales. The pipes knock. On the stairs, soft steps. Mom, who is it? Araceli's voice, sweet, ordinary. My throat locks. Just a friend, I call too fast. I slip into the living room and lower my voice into the receiver. Ivan, I'm looking at her towel on the rail. She's here. He exhales, and for a heartbeat I hear the pressurized hush of a sealed cabin. I'm looking at her too. Then the line clicks. He's gone. My hand shakes so hard the receiver rattles in its cradle. The door opens. Araceli descends with wet hair combed straight down her back, water still trapped in the ends. She's changed into a light blue dress. The steam follows her like a veil. She smiles with the same dimple that hooked our family years ago. I'm running to the market. Tomatoes, cilantro? Tomatoes, I say, and my voice sounds borrowed. She takes the wicker basket in her left hand. I watch the curve of her wrist as she lifts the latch, the gate clacking shut behind her. Sunlight swallows her. The ticking clock grows loud. My chest tightens, a fist inside my ribs. There are photographs on the wall. Stephen and Araceli under an arch of paper flowers. Matthew as a newborn. Ivan the day he stood in his uniform, hat crooked, joy exact. I stare at her wedding picture until the smile blurs. The screen door squeals. Matthew bursts in from the school bus, backpack smacking his little spine. Grandma, Miss Lee said my drawing was the best. He pulls out a notebook and flips to 2 pages. Mom helped me yesterday. He points. 1 page has tidy slanted letters. But today she wrote this. Messy loops tilt like broken pickets. She used her other hand. It looks ugly. I smooth his hair. She was probably tired. My voice wobbles. He looks up, puzzled. Sometimes she hugs me so tight, and sometimes she doesn't look at me. When he goes to wash his hands, I sit at the table and grip the edge of the floral vinyl. I think of the basket in Araceli's left hand. Hadn't she always chopped onions with her right hand? Held the knife like a violinist holds a bow. I can hear the clean music of it, how she flicked her wrist and laughed when I cried from the onion sting. The doorbell rings. Mrs. Collins from next door stands on the stoop returning the ceramic plate Araceli brought over last night with flan. Thank you, Stella. Delicious. She squints. Funny thing, did you know your daughter-in-law is left-handed? Yesterday she passed this with her left like it was her favorite. I swallow. She's right-handed. Oh. A politely nosy pause. Maybe she's ambidextrous. She smiles, the kind of smile people use when they feel a shift under their feet. Coffee later. Another day. I close the door gently and lean my forehead against it until the grain feels like bark. By evening, the house is a careful play. Stephen gets home, loosened tie, tired grin. What's this little champion done today? He scoops Matthew. Araceli moves with dinner, precise, quiet. She sets a glass of water by Stephen's elbow, the same easy intimacy, except now I can't stop tracking her hands. Matthew's elbow nudges the glass. Water spills in a bright river. I reach with a towel, laughing. "It's all right, honey." "Matthew," Araceli says sharply, the tone a cold draft across the table. "Why are you so clumsy?" Stephen glances up. "It was an accident, Araceli." "You always defend him. I end up the bad one." Silence sits with us like an unwelcome guest. Matthew's eyes gloss. I touch his knee. The ice in my chest hardens. After dishes, I step onto the porch. Phoenix dusk pulls hot and copper across the street. The daisies in my small garden lift their bright faces, untroubled. Under my skin, everything crawls. I go to the sideboard, slide open the shallow drawer, and take out a thin, old notebook with a bent corner. The pages smell like attic air. My handwriting starts to tremble even before I begin. 3:10 p.m. Araceli leaves for the market. Blue dress, basket in left hand. Dinner. Snapped at Matthew. Left hand on fork, right on glass. Eyes sharp, then soft. I stop and listen to the house breathing around me, the refrigerator's small rumble, the muted sound of Stephen humming while he checks email, Matthew's cartoon voice from the living room. I write one more line. Yvonne called, says he watched her board for France. Passport in his hand. I shut the notebook and tuck it back like contraband. The next afternoon, I walk Matthew to the bus. The sky is a flat white sheet. He squeezes my fingers. "Grandma, last night Mom didn't sing," he says. "But the night before, she sang Cielito Lindo like you do." "Only Stephen and I have sung that in this house." "Maybe she forgot," I say, but he's already running for the steps. On my way home, I stop at Johnson's Bakery. The bell over the door tinkles. The glass case gleams with braided bread, sugared buns like small moons. "Morning, Mrs. Brooks," Joe says. Flour dust freckles his hairy forearms. "Your daughter-in-law was in. Loved the sweet rolls yesterday. Today, she didn't say a word." He chuckles, then checks my face. "Everything all right?" "Of course," I lie. The paper bag crinkles too loud in my hands. At the market, Mrs. Jenkins, the vegetable lady, calls. "Hola, Estela." Then lower, "Your daughter-in-law is, ¿cómo se dice? One day she's very nice, the next day she walks past like she never met me." On the walk home, heat shimmers off the asphalt like a veil. I try to gather the day's moments, and they slip through my fingers like beads with broken string. I set the bag on the counter and stand perfectly still. The house smells like lemon cleaner and cumin. In the hallway mirror, I study my own face, the creases that have deepened since Raphael died. I think of his voice. "The truth will set you free, Stella, if you can bear it." 5:00. The gate clicks. Araceli comes in with a navy blouse I have not seen today. The wicker basket
swapped for a blue plastic tote. "Good deals at the market," she says, bright again. She reaches me and leans to kiss my cheek. The scent of cheap rose water, faint and unfamiliar, slides off her skin.
"You changed," I say. "Stain," she says, easy. "I spilled cilantro water." At dinner, she takes a small notebook from her bag to jot a reminder. She writes with her left hand. The letters wobble. Stephen laughs softly. "Since when are you left-handed?" She freezes, then smiles too quickly. "Practicing," she says, and tucks the notebook away as if it bit her. Night settles awkwardly. Stephen reads in bed until the lamp throws a square of yellow on his shirt. The house quiets in layers. The television, then the tap, then a sigh from the air vent. I can't sleep. I lie awake counting the seconds between each heartbeat. At 10:43, footsteps cross the hallway. A door closes, then opens again. The front latch slips and clicks. I get up. Through the lace curtain, I catch the drift of her pale dress turning the corner toward the market street. I stand in the dark, barefoot, on cool tile, and think of the alley 3 blocks past the shops, the one with mechanic's oil slicking the dust, the iron gate bent like a broken knuckle. I put on my shawl, then I sit down on the edge of the bed instead. My hands won't stop shaking. In the morning, I make eggs while Matthew builds a Lego plane at the table, narrating quietly to himself. Araceli comes down humming, hair braided. She smells like a different perfume. She pours milk, right hand steady, left resting on the counter. "Parent-teacher conference next week. Don't forget to take off." He kisses her temple. "Got it." I watch the tiny shift in her shoulders as his lips touch her, the stiffness of someone bracing. Then she turns that immaculate smile on him and the stiffness melts as if it were never there. Mrs. Collins's voice drifts through the open window as she waters petunias. "Lovely day," she sings to the birds. The hose clicks on and off. Its rhythm sounds like a clock. At noon, I take the notebook into the garden. The daisies nod in the dry breeze like people encouraging a speaker to continue. I lay the book on my lap and press my pen so hard the nib nearly tears the paper. No one believes an old woman until someone gets hurt. I close my eyes and see what I will do. The street I'll take, the corner where I'll stop, the mechanic's shop with the fan turning and turning, chopping heat into smaller heat, the narrow passage that smells like bleach and boiling beans, the door with peeling paint, and beyond it, the answer I told myself I never needed. I open my eyes. In the quiet of my garden, I hear it clearly, the faintest echo of Ivan's voice from a sky I cannot see. "She's on my plane, Mom. I'm looking at her right now." I stand. Tomorrow, I will follow her. The sun is brutal, burning down through a sky that refuses to soften. I clutch my shawl tighter, though it only soaks more sweat into my back. Ahead of me, Araceli walks quickly, her pale yellow floral dress fluttering just above her calves. She carries her wicker basket in her left hand. Her stride is confident, purposeful, but not like she's headed to the market. She doesn't glance behind her, doesn't notice me keeping 2 corners worth of distance. When we reach the marketplace, she does something different. Instead of turning right toward the fruit stalls, she glides left, into a narrower street where sunlight collapses into shadow. The neighborhood shifts here. Paint peels from the walls, tin roofs sag, stray dogs nose through trash bins. The air smells of old grease and rust. I slow my pace, pressing myself behind a stack of bicycles outside a mechanic's shop. Araceli doesn't falter. She moves deeper into the alley and stops in front of a warped wooden door.
at number 14. The house is small, paint blistered off its walls. She knocks softly. The door opens. She slips inside. The street goes still. A fan whirs inside the mechanic shop, chopping silence into sharp beats. I clutch the shawl around me like armor. My feet refuse to move forward, though every part of me is screaming to follow. Minutes bleed by. I force myself to leave, each step heavier than the last. But when I reach my own gate, I freeze. She's in the kitchen. I see her through the open window, wearing a white blouse now, chopping vegetables on the counter. Steam fogs the glass above the stove. She looks up and her eyes slice through me like ice. "Where did you go, Mom?" she asks. Her voice is calm, casual. Her gaze is not. I swallow. "Just for a walk." She tilts her head, a small smile curving her mouth. Then she turns back to the cutting board, knife flashing. I stumble upstairs, my heart pounding, throat dry as ash. I lock the door to my room, sink into the chair by the dresser. My hands won't stop shaking. I just saw her go into that alley. I saw her vanish into that rotten wooden door. And yet she's here chopping onions, wearing a blouse she didn't leave in. That night, Matthew slips into my room, his cheeks wet. "Grandma, Mom yelled at me for dropping a pencil, but yesterday she hugged me. She said I was her little star." His voice cracks. "I want the nice Mom again." I pull him into my arms, stroking his hair while my own tears burn. "She's just tired, honey." My words feel like lies. I don't sleep. At dawn, I return to the alley. The streets are still, dew clinging to weeds in the cracks. A woman tending a corn stand fans charcoal, smoke rising in thin ribbons. I show her the family photo. Stephen and Araceli on their wedding day, Matthew in her arms. The woman squints, nods. "See, she comes here often, number 14. She points with her fan. My knees weaken. I thank her and walk to the peeling door. The wilted daisy in a pot on the windowsill nods as if bracing me for impact. I knock. The door creaks open. A woman stares back at me. My breath stops. Her face is Araceli's. Same eyes, same cheekbones, same mouth. But her hair is messier, her clothes simpler. Her hands tremble around a dish rag. I choke out a name that isn't hers. "Araceli?" She flinches and tries to shut the door. A voice from inside interrupts. Calm, firm. "Isidora, don't hide anymore. You know this can't last." Another woman steps forward. A thin young lady with hair in a bun, her eyes sharp but kind. She looks at me as if she's been waiting. "Mrs. Brooks, please come in. It's time you knew the truth." The room is cramped, walls stained with damp, the smell of disinfectant mixing with illness. An old man coughs on a cot in the corner, blanket frayed to threads. I sit in a wooden chair, clutching the photo like it's my last tether to sanity. The other woman lays a hand on the trembling girl. "This is Isidora. She isn't Araceli." My voice cracks. "Then why does she look exactly like her?" Isidora's eyes glisten with shame. She whispers, "Because Araceli hired me to pretend, to stand in her place when she needed to disappear. She pays me a lot. Enough for medicine. My parents are sick. I didn't want to do it, but..." Her voice breaks. The floor seems to tilt. My notebook entries, Yvonne's words, Matthew's complaints, they all collide. The other woman speaks again, steady. "My name is Lucy Miller. I live here with Isidora. I've seen things. Once, Araceli met a man, wealthy, Charles Thompson. I heard them call each other honey. Meanwhile, Isidora was waiting in the car, made to cover her absence." The name feels like poison. Yvonne's voice echoes. She's in first class with a rich man, close, like a couple. My hand knocks over a glass of water. Lucy rushes to mop it, but I barely notice. Isidora sobs openly now. I never meant to hurt you, Mrs. Brooks, I swear. I only wanted to keep my parents alive. Her face is Araceli's, but softer, broken. I can't find anger, only pity, tangled with dread. I force my voice steady. Do you know where Araceli goes when you replace her? She shakes her head, tears streaking. She never tells me, just says to act like her, then vanish. Lucy leans forward, eyes fierce. Araceli is using her, Mrs. Brooks, and she's using all of you. The old man coughs again. The rag in Isidora's hands twists tighter. I rise, my knees trembling, the photo crumpled in my grip. Then its ends here. I won't let her destroy my family. Not my son, not my grandson. Isidora looks at me, eyes wide, as if she's been waiting for someone to say those words her whole life. I step into the burning sunlight outside, heart pounding with a single truth. Araceli has a double, and she has been lying to us all.
Stephen's jaw tightens. He grips the edge of the table, his knuckles white. Araceli, he whispers, tell me this isn't true. Silence. Then a laugh. Sharp, brittle, laced with venom. She stands, eyes burning. Yes, it's true. I have a lover, Charles Thompson. He gives me a life better than this suffocating house. I'm sick of being your daughter-in-law, your servant. Stephen, you're nothing. He's everything. Her words detonate in the room. Stephen lurches as if struck. Matthew cries out and runs to me, burying his face in my lap. I hold him, tears streaking my cheeks. Ivan stares, stunned into stillness. Isadora trembles beside him, horror in her eyes. Do you even hear yourself? Stephen's voice cracks. Everything we built, our son, our home, was it all a lie? Araceli's gaze is cold steel. Yes. The silence that follows is unbearable. Finally, she grabs her bag and storms out, the slam of the door echoing like a gunshot. For a long time, no one moves. Matthew whispers, Grandma, why did Mom say that? His tiny voice is full of betrayal. I can't answer. I can only rock him, whispering, You'll never be unloved, never. Stephen sits down slowly, burying his face in his hands. Ivan puts a hand on his shoulder. Isadora steps forward, her voice trembling but clear. Sister, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to hurt them. I only wanted to help. I thought... Her words break into sobs. But Araceli is gone. And the family that remains is... The house feels hollow after she leaves. The front door still quivers from the force of her slam, but the silence that follows is heavier than thunder. Stephen sits frozen at the table, his hands still gripping the wood, his face buried in his palms. The candles gutter, their wax dripping like slow tears. Matthew clings to me, trembling, his little body pressed into my lap. Yvonne stands rigid, his pilot's posture shattered, as if the cockpit controls have been ripped away from him. No one speaks. Finally, Stephen lifts his face. His eyes are raw, red. He looks at the door as if willing her to return, to take it all back. His lips move, but the only words that escape are broken. She said our life was nothing. I reach for his hand. Stephen, you and Matthew are everything. You still have us. You're not alone. He squeezes my hand, but his grip is limp, lifeless. Isadora stands near the doorway, as if she doesn't belong. Her face, Araceli's face, gleams with tears. She whispers, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She backs away, but Yvonne catches her wrist gently. "It's not your fault," he says, steady. "She used you too." Matthew stirs, looking up at Isadora. His eyes widen with confusion, then soften. He whispers, You look like Mom." Isadora's lips tremble. "I'm not her, sweetheart, but I'll never hurt you." He studies her for a moment, then leans toward her, his small arms wrapping around his waist. "I want the nice one," he murmurs into her dress. Isadora cries, silently, clutching him. The week that follows is gray and merciless. Stephen files for divorce. He doesn't fight it. Araceli doesn't either. She signs the papers without a glance back, walking out of the courthouse beside the wealthy man Yvonne saw on the plane, Charles Thompson. Their car glides away, glossy, untouchable. Stephen tells me afterward, his voice flat, empty. She didn't even ask about Matthew, didn't fight for him, just left. I take his hand and say, "Then she never deserved him, but my heart aches all the same." At home, Stephen is silent. He buries himself in work, sometimes forgetting to eat. I watch him fade like a man walking underwater.
Matthew asks fewer questions with each day. The first nights, he cries for her. By the third, he only clutches his blanket and whispers, "Grandma, sing for me." By the end of the week, he doesn't mention her at all. The wound has scarred over in his small heart. Through all of it, Isidora appears, at first timid, hesitant, unsure if she's welcome. She arrives with containers of warm stew, bread wrapped in towels. She plays board games with Matthew, her laughter soft and fragile. She helps me fold laundry, her hands clumsy but willing. One afternoon, I find them in the yard. Matthew is drawing with chalk on the stones. A crooked bird, its wings too big. Isidora kneels beside him, guiding his little hand. "There, see? Every bird needs a strong wing." Matthew beams. "Like you, Mom Isidora." She freezes, eyes wide. "What did you call me?" He shrugs, smiling shyly. "Mom Isidora, 'cause you're nice." Her tears fall so suddenly, she hides her face in her sleeve. I watch from the porch, my chest aching. For the first time in weeks, I feel a seed of hope. But Stephen is harder. He avoids Isidora at first, unable to look at her without remembering Araceli's betrayal. But she is patient. She doesn't force her presence. She only lingers at the edges, helping quietly. One night, I hear voices from the living room. "Stephen, why are you still here? You don't know us anything." Isidora, "Because you and Matthew don't deserve to be broken. I know what she did. I saw it. And I can't stand by and let her win." Silence. Then Stephen's voice, low, cracked. "I loved her. God help me, I still love the woman I thought she was." Isidora whispers, "I understand. But I promise you, I'm not her." Something shifts then. Not forgiveness, not yet, but a crack of light in his darkness. Weeks pass. Matthew laughs again, Stephen eats again, the house breathes again, and Isidora is at the heart of it. One evening, as the cicadas sing outside, Stephen kneels in the living room, holding a small ring in trembling fingers. His face is pale, his voice breaking. "Isidora, you brought light back into this house. You gave Matthew hope. You gave me hope. Will you be my wife?" She covers her mouth, stunned. Tears run down her cheeks. She looks at me as if seeking my blessing. I walk to her, take her hand, and whisper, "Yes, you've been part of this family all along." She nods through her tears. "Yes, Stephen, I will." Matthew leaps up, clapping his hands. "I knew it! Now I have Mom Isidora forever!" Stephen pulls her close, and for the first time in months, the house is filled with laughter, pure and unbroken. The wedding is small, humble, but filled with warmth. The yard is strung with roses and ribbons. Matthew wears a tiny suit, proud to be his father's best man. Ivan stands by Stephen, his eyes bright with pride. I sit in the front row, tears streaming as Isidora walks down the aisle in a simple dress. No jewels, no grand ceremony, but her smile is genuine, radiant. When she says, "I do," it feels like a wound finally closing. That night, I sit alone on the porch. The air is soft, the garden alive with the scent of daisies. Inside, I hear Matthew's giggles, Isidora's lullaby, Cielito Lindo, the song only I used to sing, now safe in her voice. Stephen is murmuring about his blueprints, and she listens with unfeigned pride. I whisper into the dark, to Raphael, my late husband. We lost one who lied, but we gained one who loves. For the first time since Yvonne's impossible phone call, my heart feels at peace. But a thought lingers, sharp, unsettled. Araceli is still out there, and the story is not finished.
The house is alive again. For weeks, the air has been soft with laughter, the clinking of plates, the lullabies drifting from Matthew's room. Stephen works late, but comes home to warmth instead of silence. Isidora hums while she cooks, sometimes with Matthew tugging her sleeve, sometimes with me reading at the table. But peace is fragile, and shadows never die quietly. It begins on a Thursday evening. I'm folding laundry in the living room when a car pulls up outside. A sleek black sedan, glossy under the streetlight. My heart stutters. It's not Stephen's battered Ford. The engine cuts. A door slams. Then, heels on the pavement. Click, click, click. Araceli. She strides up the walkway in a scarlet dress, diamonds dripping at her ears. Her hair is swept high, her lips a knife's edge of red. She looks nothing like the woman who used to hum while peeling potatoes in my kitchen. She doesn't knock. She pushes the door open, stepping inside as if she never left. Stephen stands from the couch, stunned. Matthew hides behind Isidora, his small fists gripping her dress. "Hello, family," Araceli says, voice dripping with mockery. Her eyes rake the room, pausing on Isidora. "Well, well, my shadow has taken my place." "Get out," Stephen says, his voice low, shaking. She smirks. "So quick to forget, husband. You think you can replace me with a copy, with trash I paid to run errands?" Isidora flinches, but doesn't move. She places her hand protectively over Matthew's head. "Don't talk about me like that." Araceli tilts her head, her smile vicious. "Oh, sister, you think slipping into my shoes makes you me? You'll never be me." Stephen takes a step forward, fists clenched. "You abandoned your son. You humiliated this family. You don't belong here anymore." But Araceli doesn't flinch. She turns her gaze on Matthew. "Baby, come to mommy." Matthew's eyes widen. He presses himself deeper against Isidora's leg. "No!" he whispers. "You're the mean one." The words strike like a blade. For a moment, her face cracks. Then rage floods in. She lunges forward, but Stephen blocks her, grabbing her arm. "Enough!" he roars. "You don't get to touch him. You don't get to touch any of us." Araceli's mask slips completely now. Her eyes blaze. "You'll regret this, all of you. You think you're safe with her?" She points at Isidora, her finger trembling with fury. "You don't know the half of it." She rips her arm free and storms out, slamming the door so hard the windows rattle. The black sedan screeches away into the night. Silence holds us like a trap. Matthew begins to cry, muffled sobs against Isidora's stomach. She kneels, rocking him. Stephen collapses into the couch, his chest heaving. I stand frozen, hands pressed against the table, the sound of her heels still echoing in my skull. Finally, Stephen speaks. His voice cracked. She won't stop. She's going to come back. She's going to try something worse. Isadora looks up, tears streaking her cheeks. Her voice trembles. She already has. You don't know what she's capable of. I kneel beside her, gripping her hands. Then tell us. No more secrets. What do you know? She hesitates, glancing at Stephen, then at Matthew, asleep now from sheer exhaustion. Her shoulders quake. There's something I never told you. Something Araceli made me promise to keep quiet about. Stephen leans forward, his eyes burning. What is it? Isadora closes her eyes, the words dragging out like poison. Charles Thompson. He's not just her lover. He's dangerous. He deals in things that could ruin us all if we're dragged into it. I feel the blood drain from my face. What kind of things? Her eyes open, wide with terror. Fraud. Smuggling. Money that doesn't belong to him. And Araceli knows everything. That's why she used me to build her alibi while she lived her double life with him. She was never just cheating on Stephen. She was protecting herself. And now, she'll do anything to keep us quiet. The room seems to close in, the walls pressing closer. I can hear the hum of the refrigerator, too loud, too sharp. Stephen whispers, she will destroy us if she can. I grip his hand, then Isadora's. Then we won't let her. We've already survived her lies. We'll survive this, too. But deep down, I know this is no longer just about betrayal or broken vows. This is about survival. And Araceli will not stop until she has the last word.
The storm breaks on a Sunday night. We're in the living room. Stephen sketches blueprints at the table, Isadora reads Matthew a story on the couch, and I knit by the window, listening to their voices overlap into something almost normal. For a moment, it feels like peace again. Then, glass shatters. The front window bursts inward, shards raining across the carpet. A brick tumbles to the floor, wrapped in paper. Matthew screams and clutches Isadora's arm. Stephen leaps up, fury in his eyes. I rush forward, heart pounding. He unravels the paper. The words inside are scrawled in jagged ink. You can't erase me. I'll take back what's mine or burn it all. My stomach twists. Before I can speak, headlights sweep across the walls. The roar of an engine. Tires screech. The black sedan stops at our gate. Araceli. Stephen charges to the door, but I grab his arm. Wait, this is what she wants. Don't let her drag you into her madness. But the gate clangs open anyway. Heels hammer the walkway. She enters, more disheveled than before, her red dress crumpled, lipstick smeared. Her eyes are wild, the glittering edge of desperation. Behind her, a tall man in a suit lurks by the car. Charles Thompson. His face is smooth, smug, the face of money that feeds on ruin. Araceli's voice is sharp as glass. Did you think you could replace me so easily? My son, my husband, my life, handed to a beggar twin? She spit toward Isadora. Stephen steps between them. You abandoned us. You chose him. He jerks his chin toward Charles. You don't belong here anymore. Her laugh is unhinged. Belong? You don't understand. I own this family. You are nothing without me, without what I gave you. Isadora rises, trembling but firm. Matthew pressed behind her. No, you never gave us love, only lies. You used me, your own blood, like a mask. Araceli's eyes blaze. You were born to be my shadow, Don't pretend you're anything else. Isadora's chin lifts. I'm not your shadow anymore. I'm Matthew's mother now, his real mother. For the first time, Araceli falters. Her face twists. Pain, rage, disbelief. She turns to Stephen, voice breaking. Stephen, please, don't let her replace me. Don't let them erase me. His voice is quiet, but final. You erased yourself. The words cut her deeper than any scream. She lunges toward him, but Charles grabs her arm roughly. Enough. They're not worth it. His voice is cold, calculated. We've got bigger problems than your petty family. Araceli jerks away, staring at him, horror flickering in her eyes. Petty? You promised... He sneers. I promised you nothing. You're useful, that's all. He yanks her toward the car. For a moment she fights, torn between fury at us and fear of him. Then, as if her spirit shatters, she lets him pull her away. The sedan roars into the night, taillights bleeding red across the pavement. Silence crashes down. Matthew clutches Isadora's hand. She's gone, he whispers. Stephen wraps his arms around his son, voice trembling. Yes, buddy, she's gone. I sink into a chair, my whole body shaking. The air feels lighter, though grief still lingers. Isadora kneels, pulling Matthew into her embrace. She can't hurt you anymore. I promise. For the first time, Matthew smiles faintly. He leans against her chest. I only want you, Mom. The word settles in the room, gentle, healing. Stephen looks at Isadora then, not with doubt, not with guilt, but with certainty. He takes her hand, holding it tight. And I, watching them, finally let my tears fall, not of sorrow, but of relief. Weeks later, we hear the news. Charles Thompson is arrested on charges of fraud and smuggling. In the reports, Araceli's name is mentioned briefly, his associate. She vanishes soon after, no forwarding address, no word. But we don't wait for her shadow anymore. The house is alive again. Isadora hums while cooking, Stephen laughs with Matthew over schoolwork, and the nights are filled with lullabies instead of arguments. I sit on the porch in the evenings, the scent of daisies in the breeze, the sound of Matthew's giggles spilling through the window. And I know, our family has been broken, yes, but it has been rebuilt stronger, bound not by lies, but by truth. Araceli tried to destroy us. Instead, she freed us. And in the quiet, I whispered to Raphael, my late husband, we survived, my love. The truth carried us through. The stars blink above like witnesses. The story ends not in fire, but in light.